Governor John Kasich won his home state of Ohio Tuesday, and even though it's his only victory so far, he says that's enough to keep him in the race for president. Earlier, I spoke with Kasich, who was campaigning in Utah. Governor, let's start with your strategy to win the Republican nomination. Right now, Donald Trump has 678 delegates. Ted Cruz has 423. You have 143. Even if you win every one of the remaining delegates, 100%, you would still be short of the 1,237 majority you need. So what's your path? How does the Republican convention end up turning to you?
Well, first of all, Chris, nobody is going to have enough delegates. We are going to go to a convention. It's going to be open. And let me also tell you that for the first time in this race in the last months, and we're rising, our rallies are strong, we are raising money, we're bringing more people into our effort. And we're going to get to the convention, and I've been to a convention that was contested in 1976 as a young guy. But let me tell you, when you get to a convention, there's going to be two considerations. One, who can win in the fall? I'm the only one that can win in the fall. And then there's a second issue, and I know this is a kind of a crazy one, but who's actually could be president of the United States? I think that kind of matters too. So I see the convention as nothing more than an extension of this whole political process. And I'm very comfortable with heading to that convention with momentum and more delegates, and we'll let the people there make a choice.
If step one is to stop Trump, to keep him from the 1,237, some people are questioning why you're even campaigning in Utah, because the fact is that if Ted Cruz were to win 50% of the vote, he would get all of the delegates, but you, by campaigning there, are splitting the anti-Trump vote. I want to put up what Mitt Romney said the other day. He says he'll vote for Cruz in Utah, explaining a vote for Governor Kasich in future contests makes it extremely likely that Trumpism would prevail. Your response, sir?
Well, first of all, I don't agree with him. And secondly, people tried to get me out of the race and said that Rubio should be the pick. And if I hadn't stayed in the race and won in Ohio, Trump would have won both Florida and Ohio. But I want to make something clear to people. I'm not in this to try to stop somebody. I'm in this to tell people about my experience, my record, my vision, and my ability to bring people together and to be a successful president of the United States. This is beginning to deteriorate into some sort of a political science class with a bunch of pundits trying to, play a parlor game. I'm not interested in that. Chris, my entire lifetime has been to bring about change. Do you know how many people in the establishment I made angry when I reformed the Pentagon? Do you know how many people in the establishment I made angry when I balanced the federal budget? Do you know how many people in the establishment I got upset when I brought change in Ohio? I'm a change agent. And what we're beginning to see is a lot of the establishment people, one more time, trying to stop me. I am interested in improving this country and being a good president, and that's precisely why I'm running. And people are beginning to understand my vision and my message because finally people are beginning to allow me to be heard.
Well, I want to ask you about Salt Lake City. Trump said no, but we were still going to hold it with you and Ted Cruz, and then you surprised a lot of people by saying that you weren't going to participate in the debate, including Charles Krauthammer. Here he is.
He complains that he's being ignored, not getting enough time, whining about it again and again, he and Carson. And then here he's being offered 2 hours without the interruptions of Trump. Just him and Cruz, he could present his case, and he turns it down.
Governor?
Well, I'm disappointed to hear Charles say that. He says that I was whining. Let me tell you, the New York Times had a piece the other day that showed that Donald Trump received $1.8 billion worth of national media attention. And I was like 10th, okay? Look, I'm not going to go to a debate where we don't have everybody involved in the race involved in the debate. So what am I doing? I'm using my time to campaign the most effective way I can. I have never thought that these debates were the best way to pick a president. If somebody wants to sit down with me for an hour and interview me and ask me any question about my record, my policies, my foreign policy experience, my domestic policy experience, I'm willing to do that. But, I love Charles Krauthammer. He's a good guy, and maybe sometimes people just don't understand the way that I work in politics. And, you know, see, I'm not a plotter or a schemer. I'm a guy that looks at problems and tries to solve them, which I have done all of my career, creating jobs in Washington, creating jobs in Ohio, not me creating them, but creating an atmosphere and having the experience to run this country.
You have talked, as you say, about running a positive campaign. You also at various points have criticized Donald Trump for creating a toxic atmosphere when it comes to violence, for speaking in what you consider objectionable ways about women. What do you think of Donald Trump and the campaign he's running?
Well, you know, look, I heard yesterday that his family was threatened, and that disappointed me. There's no place for this kind of back and forth and violence. So from that regard, I was disappointed to hear that people were threatening that family. That's a disgrace. But I also have pointed out at times when I thought his language was inappropriate, like if I don't get nominated, there's going to be a riot. I mean, what kind of talk is that? But I have to tell you, Chris, I've done more town halls, more interaction with voters than anybody, all the candidates added together. I take questions from the crowd. You guys follow it. And at the end of the day, I rarely, ever rarely mention anybody else's name because I spend my time giving them the answers about what I want to do, what my vision is, and that's the way I'm really proceeding.
Well, let me ask you about a specific question in the time we have remaining. I want to explore your position on people in this country illegally. You have called them a critical part of our society. You've called them good people. They're not criminals?
Well, look, Chris, what I've said is that, you know, look, Ronald Reagan tried to fix this whole thing in 1986. And it didn't work because we didn't finish the border. I think we need to finish the border. And once it's finished, people cannot sneak in. They shouldn't sneak in now. They got to be sent home. We should have a guest worker program. And for the 11.5 million who are here illegally, if they've not committed a crime since they've been here, I would give them a path to legalization with they pay a fine, back taxes, delayed in any kind of benefits they get, I think is a reasonable approach, but not a path to citizenship. My position has not changed. The idea that we're going to go into communities and yank people out of their homes and leave their kids on the porch crying, that's not what we're going to do. That's more promises that will never happen, and the people will become more cynical. I don't make promises, by and large, that I can't keep. I try to keep what I say, and I've not deviated from this position at all.
But you know what Ted Cruz calls that? He calls it amnesty.
He can call it anything he wants to. I'm just telling you my position, and I believe that position will be accepted by the American people, and that position can pass the Congress. I lay this out in every town hall meeting. If somebody asks me, I tell them.
But what about, look, in the 30 seconds we have left, sir, what about the argument they did break the law, they came into this country illegally, and you're letting them basically be able to stay in the country despite that?
Chris, I know that you don't believe that we can go house to house and block to block trying to track these people down to ship them out. Now, you know that. Come on. The people know it too. That's just silly. You know what? I'm in this race to try to fix things, not to go out and make crazy promises that are not going to happen, that are going to further aggravate the American people. So look, you know, if people don't like that position, that's okay. I'm cool with it. But I'm not going to change my position because I think it's reasonable, and I think this whole problem is fixable. I believe it. Reagan tried. I will finish the job.
Governor Kasich, thank you. Always good to talk with you.
I enjoyed it today, Chris. Thank you. It was fun.
It was fun. Up next, we'll bring back